I am Dr. Aisha. In continuity with the lecture of receptors, this lecture is about G protein coupled receptors. In abbreviation, they are known as GPCRs. They are the receptor name just because they interact with the G proteins. They are also referred to as serpentine receptors as they contain 7 transmembrane helices, largest known receptor family, which constitutes almost more than 1% of the human genome. GPCRs comprise of the receptors for a diverse array of molecules like neurotransmitters. These are the molecules which are going to act as a ligand or as a molecule to attach on the receptors. One of them is neurotransmitters, odorant. Odorant means the specific odor. Lipids, neuropeptides, large glycoprotein hormones. Here the structure of the G protein coupled receptors is shown. This is the receptor. The structure of the uh, G protein coupled receptor, it has 7 helices, and these helices have their amino terminal outside the surface, while the carboxy terminal is within the cell cytoplasm surface. The 7 alpha helices traversing the plasma membrane and connected by loops at varying length. Here you can see the loops, and these are the 7 lengths of the helix which are attached together by these connecting loops. The ligand is going to attach on this receptor on the surface of the cell, and the message or the after attachment of ligand, the activation of G protein that induces the further effector molecules. The ligand binding site, 3 loops that are on the outer surface of the cell, they form the binding site, while the docking site, 3 loops that are on the inner surface or cytoplasmic side of the cell, they form the docking site. Docking means to place where the other protein like G protein is going to attach. Here you can see the G protein is also shown here, due to which its name is given as G protein coupled receptor. This G protein is composed of heterotrimeric subunits, as these are 3 subunits and they are not homodimer, they are heterotrimeric. One is alpha, gamma and beta. Alpha is the movable part or the movable subunit, while gamma is for the anchoring of G protein into the cell membrane. The alpha subunit, it has a binding site for GDP. This G protein portion or the subunit alpha is displaced between the effector molecule. Effector may be any of the enzyme, while rest of the structure remains at the place. The G proteins, they have many types. G proteins, they may be of GI, that means G protein with the inhibitor reaction. The G protein may be S. GS means G protein with stimulatory effect. Likewise, one is GQ alpha and G12 alpha. There may be more proteins of G type, which function is still unknown. So in case of GQ alpha, it increases the diacylglycerol and IP3. GS alpha increases the cyclic AMP, while GI is the inhibitory action. It inhibits the ion channels and cyclic AMP phospholipases as well. Here the G coupled protein receptor along with the G protein is shown. For example, epinephrine, when it binds to the beta adrenergic receptors, which is also the kind of receptors. There are two kinds, alpha adrenergic receptor or beta adrenergic receptors. In beta adrenergic receptors, epinephrine, which is a neurotransmitter, binds to it, and then the cascade starts with the help of G protein. The GDP that is originally bound to the GTP is replaced by GTP. After attachment of GTP to the alpha subunit, it activates, and a factor molecule here is adenylyl cyclase, which I have already discussed in the previous slide, that adenylyl cyclase that actually has the function to produce the secondary messenger, which converts the ATP into cyclic AMP. This cyclic AMP is the playing the main role in the initiation of many of the cascades, while recycling of cyclic AMP to AMP that takes place with the help of phosphodiesterase. In this figure, the cascades of cascade of G protein is shown. In the first figure, as you see, the ligand, when it attaches to the G coupled receptors, these receptors, when they get attachment with the ligand, they get activated with the help of G protein. After binding the ligand to the receptor, the G protein is immediately being attached with the GTP, and GTP is released, and alpha subunit has the binding site for the GTP and GDP. After attachment of GTP to the alpha subunit, the alpha subunit goes, or you can say the hyper energetic form of alpha subunit, which is bound with the GTP, it activates, or it also initiates the effector molecule here like adenylyl cyclase. After attachment of alpha subunit to the binding site over the adenylyl cyclase, the next effect is that adenylyl cyclase, after activation, converts the ATP into cyclic AMP. Adenylyl cyclase is also an enzyme, so its main function is to catalyze the reaction of ATP to convert into cyclic AMP. After that, when the GTP is consumed, that is converted into GDP into PI, and as turning back into the GDP form of the alpha subunit, this alpha subunit returns back to the movable part of G protein and attaches back to the receptor where the ligand was initially bound. After removal of the ligand, the alpha subunit and beta and gamma subunits again become heterotrimeric and wait for the new ligand. While the main course or cascade for the cyclic AMP is driven over here. After production of cyclic AMP, the next cascade is started. The cyclic AMP, it not only produces many of the cascades along with them. Here, as you can see, the receptor, then G protein, they may be stimulatory or inhibitory G protein depending upon the type of the G protein. And if it is cyclic AMP producing effect, then adenyl cyclase is there, adenylyl cyclase inverts cyclic AMP, and that cyclic AMP, one fate is that it activates the protein kinase A. Protein kinase A. The cyclic AMP produced by the activation of adenylyl cyclase by G alpha from ATP. It has the capability to easily diffuse to the other sites within the cell. So cyclic AMP is diffusible in all parts of the cell where it can affect the other effector molecules. The cyclic AMP molecule diffuses into the cytoplasm and binds to the regulatory subunits of the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase A. Protein kinase A is its effector and it mediates its function. This is the structure of cyclic AMP or cyclic GMP, in which the ribose sugar that is cyclized with the phosphate. As it is monophosphate, so here you can see the phosphate group is in single form, while here the substitution of guanine on adenine will give its name to cyclic AMP or cyclic GMP. If the guanine is present, nitrogenous base of guanine is present, then it will be cyclic GMP. If at this point the adenine is attached, then it will be known as cyclic GMP. But here, as we are discussing about cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP will be discussed later. Cyclic AMP is generated from ATP by enzyme adenyl cyclase, as I have told you. This is the ATP structure with nitrogenous base, ribose and triphosphates. While in the cyclic AMP, this is the nitrogenous base, ribose and single phosphate. So this is the cyclized form of ribose and phosphate. Cyclic AMP performs many of the functions, among them as epinephrine binds, the previous slide, the same thing here. The G protein activates adenyl cyclase, production of cyclic AMP from ATP, then activation of protein kinase A. For example, if the protein kinase A is active, here one of the example is that the glycogen can be converted to glucose, or you can say the glycogen breakdown takes place with the activation of protein kinase A that also activates the phosphorylase of glycogen for glycogen breakdown. Protein kinase A either functions to regulate the metabolism by phosphorylating the key metabolic enzymes like glycogen phosphorylase and glycogen synthase. Protein kinase A, in the case of breakdown of glycogen, it activates the glycogen phosphorylase, and utilization of glycogen degrades it to release the glucose in the bloodstream. When the glucose is required, the glycogen is broken down into glucose subunits, and that glycogen is broken down by the glycogen phosphorylase. In the case of synthesis of glycogens, glycogen synthase is the enzyme. So cyclic AMP production that inactivates the glycogen synthase, so that the formed glucose that should not convert into glycogen reverse back, and it should be present in the bloodstream for body functioning. So cyclic AMP used in the assimilation of glucose to glycogen uptakes glucose from the bloodstream and stores in the liver and muscle as glycogen. So this enzyme that synthesizes the glycogen that is inactivated in the presence of cyclic AMP and then protein kinase A. While protein kinase A other function is it activates the phosphorylase kinase. In the Lipton court, you can easily um, you can easily learn or study about the glycogen metabolism, where the proper details of the glycogen synthesis and glycogen phosphorylase action is given in the book. In this chapter you can understand the whole mechanism of glycogen, which will be later on discussed, and that how that breakdown and synthesis of glycogen takes place. But the main theme or the main action of both or three of the enzymes in the case of degradation or in the synthesis is controlled by protein kinase A. Protein kinase, some of it translocates to the nucleus. In the nucleus, it phosphorylates key nuclear proteins which function as transcription factors called CRAB, cyclic AMP response element binding proteins. It not only protein kinase A not only controls the synthesis of enzymes required for the degradation, but also it has a function in the transcription factor CRAB, which has a binding place on the DNA for the synthesis of other proteins. CRAB forms a dimer and then binds to the DNA at particular sequences within the promoter or regulatory region. The region is shown here, which is known as the CRE, cyclic AMP response element. This response element or the CRAB binding protein, they are all involved in the regulation of carbohydrates, which will be discussed in the later on chapters.